The sports world is buzzing about the reemergence of Eldrick. If you're not sure who we're talking about, you'll find out in today's edition of CNN Student News. First up, reaction from around the world to President Obama's address to Congress. Well over 30 million people tuned in to watch Tuesday night's speech, and that was just here in the U.S. But the president's words reverberated overseas, especially when he spoke about countries where U.S. troops are serving, like Iraq and Afghanistan, and nations that could be impacted by American policies, like Pakistan and Israel. Some of our correspondents wrap up the global response.
President Obama promising to end the Iraq war responsibly, and that is the word that is key. No one wants to see a premature U.S. troop withdrawal that would result in a loss of the current security gains. No one, not America, not the Iraqis themselves, are going to want to see a rush to pull U.S. troops out of here.
There hasn't been much of a reaction from Afghanistan just yet on President Obama's speech because many Afghans weren't able to watch it. Those who have televisions will see clips in their evening newscast. President Obama has promised 17,000 additional troops into the country in 2009. Afghans are very skeptical of this decision, saying that it will lead to more civilian casualties. 2008 was the deadliest year in the war on terror in Afghanistan, and 2009 is expected to be much worse.
Any call by the United States for Pakistan to work more closely with it in cracking down on terrorist organizations is going to be met with skepticism, if not hostility, on the streets here. There is a very strong anti-American sentiment in Pakistan. Many blame U.S. foreign policy for the problems that they face here, particularly this rising tide of militancy. The Pakistan government is saying that force alone will not defeat militant organizations like the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. They are saying that you need more engagement, more dialogue. That's why we've seen this deal cut in the Swat Valley, about 100 miles from here, to allow Sharia law in return for a Taliban ceasefire. So a rising tide of anti-Americanism, a militant threat, and the Pakistan government running out of options to deal with it makes President Obama's objectives here very difficult indeed.
President Obama made only passing reference to the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians, saying that his administration had appointed a new envoy, Senator George Mitchell, to try to work towards peace between Israel and its neighbors. There is a realization in the Middle East that given the size of the American, indeed the global international economic crisis, that resolving this 100-year-old conflict may not be a top priority of the new administration.
A word to the wise: nationalization. Government ownership or control of something like a business or industry.
The leader of the country's central bank says he doesn't want to nationalize the U.S. banking industry. But many financial institutions are being hit hard by the current recession, and that affects their ability to offer loans to individuals and businesses. As Alan Chernoff explains, the government is planning to give some of the country's biggest banks a test to see if they need government help, possibly government control.
The nation's chief banker, Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke, says he does not intend to simply take control of troubled banks.
I don't see any reason to destroy the franchise value or to create the huge legal uncertainties of trying to formally nationalize a bank when that just isn't necessary.
The nation's 19 biggest banks, those with assets over $100 billion, are going to get a financial stress test to see if they can withstand a deep and severe recession.
The outcome of this test is not going to be, say, you pass, you fail. That's not the outcome. The outcome is going to be, here's how much capital this institution needs.
Any major bank that appears vulnerable, Bernanke says, will be able to get additional financing from the U.S. Treasury. In return, the government will receive preferred stock.
It's going to take government money. There's no avoiding that. I wish it were so that we could avoid it. We can't, and so it just has to happen.
Washington has already invested $50 billion into Citigroup and is considering converting its shares into common stock, which would make the U.S. government by far the biggest stakeholder in Citi. Some analysts argue that is de facto nationalization, which could mean Uncle Sam decides who gets a loan.
I think those implications are political influence over the bank's decisions, and I think it makes it tough for the bank to operate in a normal environment.
Time for the shout-out. What do Chichi Rodriguez, Fuzzy Zeller, and Stuart Sink have in common? If you think you know it, shout it out. Are they all golfers, singers, politicians, or bankers? You've got 3 seconds. Go! The link between these three is the Lynx. They're all golfers. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out.
All right, we mentioned Eldrick at the top of today's show. This week, the golf world is welcoming back its biggest star, Eldrick Tiger Woods. He's been out since last June when he had surgery on his knee, but here is just one indication of how dominant Woods is. He maintained his #1 ranking during the past 8 months, even though he didn't play in a single tournament. As Patrick Snell reports, Woods is back on the course and bringing attention back to the sport.
8 months on from playing through the pain to win the US Open at San Diego, Tiger Woods is back and he says he's feeling better than ever. You can be sure he's not just here for the practice. He'll be going all out to try and win this event for the 4th time, and it's clear he's missed the game of golf as much as it's missed him.
I miss that rush of playing and competing. I really do. Getting on that first tee and feeling it. You know, I miss that. As much as you can have money games at home with the guys, it's not the same. You know, this is what I do for a living. This is what I've always wanted to do my entire life. And not being able to do it at the highest level, you know, was frustrating at times.
I came here on a Tuesday practice round, and as I'm walking to the range, I've never seen so many cameras and photographers and so forth, especially that early in the morning, you know, waiting for Tiger to get there. And so it's amazing to me what he has done for our sport, and for us to have the most recognizable athlete in the world playing our sport is so fortunate for all of us, and we've all been able to benefit from it, and to have him back is awesome.
The one good thing from being out of action for so long is the extra time it's given Tiger to spend with his young family, and that's something he truly appreciates.
It was a blessing in disguise, you know, to have an opportunity to see Sam grow that fast and that much. As players, you travel so much that, you know, I would miss a lot of that. So I was very lucky there.
Even the best can suffer from nerves, with Woods admitting the day he doesn't feel any is the day he quits. Patrick Snell, CNN, Marana, Arizona.
All right, switching to our blog, what is on your mind? That is the latest topic on our blog at cnnstudentnews.com. And Justice said the remains of Geronimo should never have been touched. He's a hero to Native Americans. Shane wrote, I would really love to go to a good college, but because of the costs, there is no way I will be able to afford it. Alexis echoed that. She wrote, school is becoming less affordable and thus robbing Americans of their right to learn. Judy mentioned the president's speech, saying, I think Obama's stimulus package will have a good impact on the overall American economy. But Joshua wrote, the fact that some kids are siding with the plan is absurd. Do they not realize he's sending our generation into debt? Leah wondered, who came up with the idea of the pancake races that you saw on yesterday's show? Fiona called sweater vests ugly and wondered who would wear one of those. I can't imagine. And Kaylee says what's on her mind is why none of her comments are on the show. Well, Kaylee, here you go. And before we go, looks like you can teach an old dog new tricks, like how to ride a bike. Apparently someone recorded this pedaling pooch for a Japanese TV show. He became an online sensation when the video hit YouTube. We don't even need a joke here. It's just really cool to watch. Of course, the dog doesn't have to balance the bike. You'll see the training wheels, the bottom of the screen there, but he is doing the rest of his work on his own, which is pretty doggone impressive. Well, that is where we ride off into the sunset. You guys have a great day.